Welcome to BizTV's Beyond the Brand. I'm Kelli Phillips. With me today is Ariel Slick. Ariel is a writer and publisher whose passion and mission is to help others turn their passion and mission into powerful nonfiction books that inspire and drive impact. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more Beyond the Brand. Our guest today helps turn complex ideas into powerful nonfiction books that inspire and create change. With over a decade of experience as a writer, editor, and strategist, she blends deep research skills with a collaborative approach to help each author's unique voice and vision come to life. We're excited to welcome Ariel Slick with us today. And Ariel, you've built a career helping changemakers and experts tell their stories. What inspired you to start Slick Writing?
Really, what inspired me to start was seeing how stories can affect individuals and organizations to affect positive change in the world.
Tell us a little bit more about your background and how that went into establishing Slick Writing.
Right. So I have a master's degree in library and information science. So I like to tell people that basically makes me a research expert. I worked for several years in academic libraries, helping people find information. And so through that process, I learned, the research process, how to synthesize information. And so that really helps me craft nonfiction.
And can you share a defining moment that solidified your mission to support mission-driven individuals through storytelling?
Yes. A defining moment for me came when I was helping the Metro Blaze Blind Soccer Association, which is based right here in DFW. I was helping them write a grant to secure an indoor playing field. And so that grant was awarded. And so now they have a place to practice safely. And that really made me realize, the stories I tell can really help people.
Yeah. So what did you learn while doing that for them?
So I learned that it is so important to find the why behind a message, to really find that emotional engine. And so sometimes it takes a bit of digging and, asking the same question different ways. But I really enjoyed the process and I loved helping them.
And as far as creating or crafting your narratives, your work spans from ghost writing, nonfiction books to crafting fiction stories. How do you navigate those different genres?
Oh, I love having both a fiction and nonfiction project going at the same time.
At the same time?
At the same time.
You don't get them confused.
Nope. It activates both sides of my brain. So nonfiction, the left, very logical, analytical, and then, creative fiction, the right brain, more creative. So for fiction, the fun part is I can create anything that I want. The drawback is I have to choose from an infinite realm of possibility, which is kind of hard.
Yes.
But then with nonfiction, there's a very clearly defined structure. It's very logical, but then I do have to do all of that research just to get to the draft. But a common theme that runs through both of them is having an outline. I have to have an outline. But I also use the elements of fiction in nonfiction. So for example, writing memoirs, I have to write dialogue, or using sensory description to really make the writing come alive for the reader. And then I think the second big one is I have to establish tension on every page, which is usually used for fiction, but even on a paragraph level for nonfiction, that keeps the reader wanting to read.
It keeps them engaged, doesn't it? To have that tension. If everything's wonderful all the time, why read it?
Exactly. We definitely want to read about the hard stuff.
Because we all experience it. It's our life.
Exactly.
What challenges do clients often face when trying to articulate their stories?
So, challenges that they face when they come to me are usually something like, Ariel, I have all of these crazy stories. I have all these wild stories, and everyone tells me that I should write a book. And so I help them see that, a dozen stories doesn't necessarily make a whole book. So I have to find that through line and that theme to weave all of these stories together. And so I help them, find that emotional core to their story.
Is that easy to do, or is it multiple conversations you have to have with them?
Definitely multiple conversations.
And what's it like whenever you finally say, I think this is the thread that will weave throughout to make this a whole complete book?
Yeah, clients will usually have a aha moment of like, yes, this, if I had one message, this is what I really want to say. And so we'll use that as the anchor point.
Storytelling is powerful for change, especially. How do you ensure that your clients' voices and messages really shine through?
So I use emotional intelligence, and a really great book that I read that covers this was actually written by an FBI hostage negotiator named Chris Voss. And the book is called Never Split the Difference. And so he calls it tactical empathy. And so it's really emotional intelligence by a different name. And so I will listen to the author, to the client, to uncover, that why, that emotional core. And in the process of listening, I can unearth like what they're really trying to say.
How did you find this book? Was it something that somebody had recommended?
I think I found it on Masterclass. And so that class was targeted for business executives, all about negotiation. But really, it was just a class on the skill of communication and the skill of empathetic listening.
Wow. Could you share a success story that where your writing made a significant impact for your client?
Oh, definitely. So, one of my clients was a man who was in the process of writing a memoir. And so he was detailing his childhood and upbringing, which was very hard. He suffered a lot of physical and emotional abuse. And so he couldn't write some scenes alone. And so when he came to me, he and I basically sat down and I listened and I interviewed him. And so then I wrote the draft to some of those scenes and basically helped get that manuscript over the finish line. And so with that completed manuscript, he published that book. And now an independent film company is making a movie based on that book about his life.
That's incredible. Does everybody have a story to write?
That is a great question. I think everyone should write because in the process of writing, you clarify a lot of your own thoughts and feelings on paper, even if it's just for yourself. It doesn't matter if you handwrite or type, but I definitely think everyone has a story to share.
So if they're thinking, I know as one gets older, kids will say, you need to write about your childhood. Would you encourage other people to do that?
Oh, definitely. I think the process of writing, your thoughts start out very tangled, or
All
your
over the
emotions,
place.
yeah, just all over the place, and you might not know where to start. Your very first sentence can be, "I don't know what to write. I'm not sure why I'm doing this, but I guess I'm here."
And then it just starts flowing.
And then it just starts flowing.
And then at that point, would the best bet be to come to someone like you to help them put these thoughts all together and navigate a memoir?
So if you're really wanting to start out writing a book, when people come to me, I highly encourage them to sit down and do a lot of the thinking and brainstorming at the outset to really craft where you want to go. But if you just want help getting started, you can, sit down and stream of consciousness write, if you just really want to get started.
All right, Ariel, we've got lots of other questions. Will you stick around? We've got to take a quick break.
All right, sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back with more in just a moment. And we're back with Ariel Slick to talk more about her business, Slick Writing. And you've got a master's in library and information science. Research is clearly a strength of yours. How does this skill enhance your writing, particularly in nonfiction?
So there's a quip among librarians that basically goes, where do you hide a stolen car? Page 2 of Google. Because no one ever looks there.
True.
So basically, having that degree gave me the skills and knowledge to know how to research. And so I find a citation, and then I find those citations that it uses, and then I find those citations that one used. And so then in this process, I discover very rich, specific details that really bring the writing alive for the reader.
You are speaking my language, because I like to go down what I refer to those as the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
And find those little nuggets along the way. And that's what people pick up. How do you balance thorough research with creative storytelling and produce, such great content?
Usually deadlines. Yeah.
So you like to work under pressure is what you're saying.
Yes. But I'm definitely like you. My instinct is to go down the rabbit hole, to do those deep dives. And so then at some point I do have to pull back and say, okay, now we actually have to start drafting. So on the creative side, if I want to include something, but I can't point to a source that can back it up, I'll usually leave it out, even if it will sound cool. But I usually try to, have that source even for, creative fiction.
You mentioned outlines and how important they are to you. Why are they so important, and could everybody benefit from using outlines?
I think everybody could benefit from using outlines, because for me personally, whenever I'm stuck in writing, it's usually, I don't know what to say. So then I go back. Do I have an outline? Is it a really good outline? So then once I tinker with it a little bit more, then I say, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to say. And so that's usually, if I'm stuck, I go back to my outline.
So that's important to stay on track. But I've got to ask, do you ever have a writer's block where nothing will come?
Oh, yes.
How do you get past that?
So it's usually one of two things. It's usually I don't know what to write, so I need an outline, or I even struggle with, I don't know what to write. Maybe this isn't good enough. Maybe I'm not a good enough writer to say this. And so then I will write out a paragraph and I'll say, oh, this is terrible and it's awful and it's the worst thing I've ever written, but I'm here now, so I might as well keep going.
And it just resolves itself 9 times out of 10?
With a really good editor. So there's definitely that first draft, and then you definitely have to have a very good editor on your side.
We live in the digital world. How has your approach to writing and connecting with audiences evolved?
So I would say in a lot of ways, it sort of hasn't evolved. So for example, there's a lot of information out there on search engine optimization, or SEO. Mm-hmm. But I find if you try to write for SEO, you're writing for robots. You're not writing for people. And so you need to really put the most significant and important information right up top, right at the get-go, so people can find it. And that might not align with SEO, but if you bring like true value to your readers, then they will pick up on that. And so you will grow more organically, instead of trying to, game the system.
And I think I've heard this several times today, just the fact, for example, AI, and you're talking SEO and you're trying to hone in, but you're honing in on robotics. but it's the heart that makes people want to read your story.
Exactly. There's a great story I like to tell to sort of illustrate a point about AI. And it begins in the unlikely realm of sewing and clothes. So, for thousands of years, humans have used a needle and thread to sew and make clothes until the 1800s when the sewing machine was invented. Now, traditional seamstresses and tailors hated the sewing machine. They thought it was going to steal their job, their livelihood, that they were going to be made obsolete. And they actually rioted and destroyed, 200 sewing machines in a factory one day. And so, but if you take a sewing machine now, you still have to have a lot of skill to use it. And so it's the same thing with AI and writing. You still need skills and you need the know-how to tell a good story. So your content is only as good as the creator behind that tool.
It's kind of like a computer works only as well as the person behind the keyboard.
Exactly.
It's the same concept.
Same concept, because stories really run on an emotional engine. We connect to each other through emotion, and only a human can really tap into that.
Yeah, and robots don't tap into any emotion.
Exactly.
What strategies do you recommend for individuals and even organizations to effectively share their story online?
Oh, definitely. 2 strategies that I usually share are, number 1, write for just one person. So a lot of people will have a general audience in mind, and that's kind of a nameless, faceless blob. But if you have one specific person in your life that you think can benefit from your idea, keep that person in mind, because then what happens is your writing becomes much more personalized. Your voice really starts to shine through instead of just, writing for this, a general
mass.
Exactly. And the second thing that I tell people whenever they're writing books is to put your most important life-changing information, chapter 1, page 1. A lot of people will wait until chapter 5. They want to get to the introduction.
They want to build it up.
They want to build it up. They want to lead the reader through the same process that they discovered. They want to put the background science and theory. People want to know how their life can change immediately. And so put that right at chapter 1.
All right. Good advice. Looking to trends, what do you foresee in writing in the publishing industry going forward?
So going forward, the barrier to entry for publishing is a lot lower than it used to be.
Really?
So you don't have to wait on a traditional publishing deal, a traditional press. If you have a really great book, idea, story, you can write it and publish it yourself. And I do say with the caveat of do your due diligence, hire a professional editor, hire a professional graphic designer for your book cover, and make as good a book product as you can, and then go forward.
So if you self-publish, is there a lot of money involved up front for you?
There is. Once you factor in, professional editors, professional book cover designers, purchasing ISBNs, graphics for your marketing ads. It is a lot, but I've really come to enjoy that process, and it's just a lot of fun. So if you remember, you are doing this to help people and have fun with the process. It's very rewarding.
Finish this sentence. I hope to inspire.
I hope to inspire young writers who may also think, oh, I'm not any good, or this is silly, or even this isn't any fun. I work with a program called Written Out Loud as a writing coach for kids. And I love seeing the kids who at the beginning of the program don't like writing. It's like pulling teeth. And by the end of it, they're like, oh, this was really fun. So I love that.
Hoping to inspire young writers.
Yes.
And how can folks get in touch with you to find out more information about your business?
So they can get in touch with me by visiting my website. That's www.slickwriting.com. Or they can check out my LinkedIn page, Ariel Slick.
Easy enough. Ariel Slick, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much. This was absolutely wonderful.
And we'll be right back after this. Thanks for watching BizTV's Beyond the Brand. Be sure to subscribe to the BizTV YouTube channel, where you'll find full episodes of this show, a 24/7 live stream, fresh BizTV content, and a few surprises each week to help you stay inspired.